It's not a matter of getting the business to a level, then you will have a rest. No, it's a long journey. This is why you really need to love it. If you think I've got a magic wand where I spotted the gap, made the cheese, and here you go, you are on the shelf. It's not like this. No. This business is not like this, but we usually talk about our victories. Sometimes to learn how to swim, you need to jump inside the ocean, and you will learn swimming on the way back. Part of Quran says, إِنَّمَا الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, which means when you struggle, there will be a solution at the end. So always focus on the positivity.
Hello and welcome to the Expert Lounge. I'm your host, Carl Veltman, and on today's Expert Lounge, I'm welcoming the owner of the Yorkshire Dama Cheese company, Razan Alsous, onto the sofa. Hi, Razan.
Hi.
Now, Razan, you'll be familiar, I think, with the format of the podcast.
Yeah.
So we welcome local leaders, entrepreneurs onto the sofa to talk about their journey, their experiences through that journey, and to reflect on the highs and lows of their careers. So I'm delighted to welcome you here today. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, where it all began?
Yeah.
You've lived in Damascus, Syria, and you were sort of students, academia prior to living here in the UK. So can you talk to me about that?
Sure. So basically, I'm originally from Damascus, from Syria.
Yeah.
And I lived there, I can't now say most of my life because I've been already in the UK for 12 years. So, but I grown there, and I did laboratory science in the medical institute. Then I was doing pharmacology as well at university. I got married. I had 3 children, and I lived like a long time in Damascus. However, when the war started, we just made we didn't take the decision quickly to leave. But the thing is, usually maybe you don't know how things happening during the war because you didn't live in this situation. However, what it's happening at the beginning, you feel things changing, less security, then you start to feel scared more and more. The essentials will be becoming less available. My son at that time was 10 months old. But even though humanity always really stronger, as you always trying to adapt, because it's your home, it's your place, you can't leave things easily, until an explosion happened at my husband's office. A car being parked underneath. He's in the 6th floor in a building, and on that day we felt that it's been very close to us. Having children, it gives you more responsibility to think about move to another place. And so we came to the UK, to Yorkshire. At the beginning, we came to Huddersfield. We lived in Huddersfield. Yeah.
And so you mentioned there, so you came to the UK. You came straight to Huddersfield.
Yes.
And then what brought you to Halifax, or are you now living in?
Yeah, no, I still live in Huddersfield, but the thing is, we moved. We established a business in 2014. So we came to the UK in 2012. Then in 2014, when I established the Yorkshire Dama Cheese, then after 2 years, we wanted to expand. So we moved to Sowerby Bridge, where we are now.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that. So how was Yorkshire Dama Cheese born?
Yeah.
And have you always had a passion for food and a passion for cheese in particular? Where did that come from?
Yeah. In general, I'm a foodie person. I love food, and I love the part of it that brings happiness to people. When I like cooking, and I never followed like a full recipe till the end, because I always cheat. I like to add my own sense in any cooking. I used to invite lots of friends always to our house in Syria, but when we came here, I missed that part of life, to be honest. At the same time,
I mean, food's a brilliant way to bring people together.
yes, definitely bring them together, talking. It's like you can call it as what's called mediation, or something like treatment. Because
It's like a therapy, isn't it? Or it can be.
Yeah, it could be, definitely, because like sometimes you don't really need someone to sort out your problems, but you want to talk about it to the right people when they give you the positivity. So this is why having food, and especially when you think about making food for people, you think about small details, because you think about everyone's what they like, what they don't like. Think about children, elderly, vulnerability. You look at really fine details when you prepare food. Even you find it's just a dish with food, but it got lots of attention.
I think there's something really important for me as well about how you present the food.
Yeah.
But how you dish it out, or how people, I'm really into just creating meals in the middle of the table that can be shared.
Yeah.
Because there's that sort of shared experience of,
Yes.
and you sort of communicating over the food.
Yeah.
And you're sharing. You've got that.
And you should ask, like you like. There's difference definitely between you have your food seated in a plate. That's it. This is your portion.
Yeah.
You put like boundaries or barrier, because this is yours. Finish it. You've got a task, and that's it.
Yeah.
Next, the next dish to come. While mainly in the Middle East, our food always a big platter, and you will share. Then you should ask if and there's protocol. Like if anything far away from you, you should ask the person who's next to the plate, say, would you mind put me put a little bit in my dish? Then you need to come in. Is it good? Is it not? So it's bring the conversation on the table, because you can't definitely be by yourself. It should be like gathered, like for more than 2 or 3 people just sitting at the table. However, so this is the passion which I loved. Like these are small details about food when you look at it from different angle. But at the same time, it looks like sometimes, when you change your environment, you discover some skills. Maybe you have it, but you don't appreciate it, or you don't give it more value. And this is the analytical or the sensory skills I had. I didn't know like much about it, because when I came to the UK, really what stopped me is the milk. You might say it's milk. It's very simple, but milk in the UK is really different from the milk overseas, because of this constant weather, which we don't like. It's produced really nice green dales, like during most of the time during the year. This is what makes a really good, happy cows, which produce really lovely milk. When you have 4 seasons and it's really hot weather in the Middle East, you wouldn't get really good quality of milk. So most of the quality milk we've got is usually during spring. So this is taught me at some point, but at that time, that's it. Just I loved it, nothing else. Until one day I was at supermarket and I wanted to buy halloumi cheese. Anyway, I found the halloumi in the UK is different from the halloumi taste in the Middle East. I didn't know much about it, but when I didn't find it on the shelf, as usually, as a foodie lover, say, okay, I will make it for my family. I can tell the milk is really good in here. We can make some cheese. But there's a problem that I never made any cheese in all my life. Only this problem. But
I mean, it's just a small thing, isn't it?
Well, it's a small, big thing. Yeah. However, what I've done, I start to read about it because I didn't know. Even like at that time, I've been really ignorant, as even I don't know if I want to get the muslin cloth to strain the curd. I don't know where to get it from because things in here looks different. I lived in Damascus, and it looks different really from how it looks like over there. So I struggled a lot at the beginning, but then I managed to make the experimenting how to make the cheese at home from the supermarket milk, and until I've managed to get the formula at the end.
Okay, so I know that you've gone on from that moment. You obviously made some halloumi that you were pretty pleased with, and you thought, you know what? Who gave you the idea to start up as a business?
So the thing is, while I was searching for how the halloumi cheese being made, I searched into different names. Like sometimes I search as Mediterranean, Syrian cheese, or halloumi or halloum. We call it in the Middle East halloum. So I start to search on the method in different ways. But each time I was searching, when in the search engine you will have something at the beginning where I've seen Tesco double the amount of halloumi importing from Cyprus. Then you find Nando's start to put halloumi on their menu, and felt like this is really surprising because I didn't expect to find this. I thought it's more authentic product. And I didn't know that people in the UK going mad about halloumi, and they love it, especially for vegetarian option. Then that start to build up my curiosity to understand then who is producing halloumi in the UK. And I found there are just really few, and close just in Sussex and London. And I felt like the majority of the halloumi are imported. Then I thought, but the milk, here where the brainstorm starting, when you feel like if the local resources is there, the milk is available all year round, and it's good and the quality, and there is a demand, then why not to make it? What will stop me to make it? And especially when I've seen one of the biggest trader whom importing halloumi paid 35 million euro for halloumi. I thought, well, if I will get 1% of this market, that would be great. I didn't get yet the 1%, but this is what I was dreaming about. I felt this could be a really good opportunity to have a good life, to secure a good future for my children. And from here, where the idea started to turn it into a business.
There's two big sort of knowledge gaps there. You decide you're going to set up a cheese production company, but you've never run a business and you've never made cheese.
No, none of them. Yeah. But there's one of the biggest motivation for me is to thrive, because at that position, when you are in this position, you feel like you lost everything. So you are in absolutely starting a new life. So what is the risk? What could be worse? Yeah. So you feel.
And I guess if there's something positive, if there's some sort of glimmer of light to come out of such a devastating thing as war, and the impact that has on families, communities.
Definitely.
What a wonderful way to frame it, that you were in this new place.
Yes.
And just thought, well, why not?
Exactly, because in that position, in that time, you will be in a position where you feel you are lost and everything is new for you. So you feel you've got only if you are not going to be brave enough and to do this step to learn to do something in your life, you might think you finish your life by your hands. So what the world couldn't do, you will do it by yourself. You should never look back and start to compare. My life in Syria was really good, and until now I didn't recover what I have lost. But if you will think backward, you will keep living in hassle between the present and the past. But in this position, really you need to focus on a target, having a vision, and to start to work toward it. And you should love it as well. You should make something which you really like, because I found the food sect is something interesting for me. So this is why I went through it.
So, sorry, Razan, just tell me a little bit about how you went from having no knowledge or skills.
Definitely, yeah.
So what was the business advice? What was the funding support? Yeah. How did you get it off the ground? Because I'm sure there will be young people, adults listening who have a business idea or have a particular skill that they could generate income from or create a business from, but don't have the know-how to take it from that idea forward. So how did you do that?
I will tell you something. Here in the UK, we are lucky to have a system, a really good system. And to make a business in the UK is something privileged because, first of all, my first connection point was the job center. I used to go to the job center each couple of weeks because I was searching for a job and no one hired me, and that kept for a year. Now, the first good thing which I would really thanks for having on the system, having the benefit system, because this will hold you, will not leave you starving or think about your children, where are they going to stay. You will have a house to stay in. You will have the minimum way of living. And this is like a hands, which will hold you for some times. But this will relax you to open your mind to think for future. When I went to the job the job center advisor, and I told her, I'm thinking, now I've been searching for a job for a year. I want to do something. I want to make my business. She said that's absolutely fine. So she referred me to the enterprise agency, who supported me with a mentor. And I've done few workshops as well through the Chamber of Commerce of West Yorkshire, and I applied for a loan. So there is a really great scheme in the UK called Startup Loan, where they like at that time, you just imagine I have limitation of residency, 5 years leave to remain. None of the banks will look at me. Maybe even now, in my position now, maybe the bank will not look at me because they always want bright future. Banks will support you when you are good, when you are healthy, but when they want supporting you during your journey. So this governmental scheme is really good because when I had the mentor, I've got at least the first person who believed in me, believed on what I'm doing. They start to talk to me in a business way and building up my confidence. And this is which taken what is going inside me and organize it as a business plan. So these steps was really good. At the same time, I was side by side doing my experimenting at home while I was reading about the cheese, how to make it. So here were the 2 boxes being ticked. I knew where to go and how to start things.
I mean, absolutely. But I think there will be many people who've had an interest in food and thought, oh, I could do this as a business, but won't have got to the point that you have, because that's taken some particular characteristics from you to get it from that point to where it is now. So what were they? Yes, you were experimenting at home. Yes, you got a mentor, but what was it that you gave that got you from that point to...
The effort, definitely. The effort. You should not count your time. When you are making your business, you can't say, today I worked 5 hours, tomorrow I'm working 10 hours. It's not like this. It's something, you won't count your time because everything will be related to this this subject. It will be like your head will never stop thinking of your target. By the way, I applied for a loan was £2,500, and this is my maximum allowance at that time because I had the limitation of residency. While if you are a British citizen, you might be able to apply for £25,000. However, when I've done my business plan, I found out that to start the business, I need at least £40,000. So this should not put you off because, again, the theoretical world is different from the human in power. It's different from what people can make. You can start something if you put your efforts and you focus on it. You really need to focus on what you need, and in this stage, what shall you do?
So, by my reckoning, you £37,500 short.
Yes.
So where did you get that from?
I didn't get it from anywhere. I started with the £2,500. So basically, I've been had some support as my brother-in-law had a fried chicken shop, which been in a basement, and it was just like nothing. It was very closed for a long time. But at least this is a place where I can start to make my workshop, as it's hygienically approved. We cleaned it and cleared it from everything. So here where you start to think about principles. You should not think it's a takeaway or it's a basement or who will come in here will be able to do it. You need to think about, I need a place which is hygienically approved, got all the ticks being done for getting the approval. Then you need to think about the source of milk and how to make the cheese. So we start to, we bought a faulty ice cream machine. It's not been working. My husband, he is an electronic engineer, and he changed it into heating instead of cooling milk. We start to build up the tools which we really need, the equipment, by using our imagination. We used to go to the second-hand shops and look at trays or to make it as molds. As I told you, I struggled to find muslin cloth. I didn't know where to get it from. But while I was cleaning my house, I found out that the dust mat which I'm using, if you know, this is the white one with the 2 red lines. I looked at it, I felt like, oh, this is 100% cotton, which is good. And it got really big spaces, so I can use it as a strainer. And then I found, okay, and it's 2 layers. So if I cut it from one side, it will turn like a bag. So I used to put it on top of the mold and use it for straining the curd. And it worked. It worked for a really good time until I managed to find out the textile shop.
Just going back, because you talked about effort being one of the key things that got you from the idea to the point. But I think there's some others there as well. So, I mean, you've got resilience.
Yes.
You had to step up when perhaps you couldn't get the full funding. You had to be innovative.
Yeah.
Because you had to find solutions. You had to problem solve without necessarily having the financial resources to go out and buy those.
And you need to have the risk as well.
You've got to take the risk. Yeah.
Yes, you need to take the risk
because it could have failed.
Yeah, definitely. If I fail, can you imagine? Then I will have a loan where I'm still not working. I don't have any resources of income, and I've got family, 3 little babies. But I had no other option. Sometimes you can't make everything ready for you to start your plan. Sometimes to learn how to swim, you need to jump inside the ocean, and you will learn swimming on the way back. Not like life is not rosy, but you need really to have the ability of managing your risks, because definitely I'm not saying like taking a massive risk, but you really need to always balance it and think what could be worse, what is the worst case scenario. You never, when you start a business or start off an idea, you should not look at think like or dream of yourself in a good position and life rosy and getting profit and establishing business. You need to think what could be worse, what am I going to lose if it didn't happen, then what plan B, and how can I risk it, how can I think about different, like you need to have kind of flexibility.
I think you touched on a point there about sort of jumping in the ocean and learning to swim on the way back. I spoke to another local leader called Jim Moran, who talked about learning to ride a bicycle but with stabilisers.
Yeah. And
how actually, you take the stabilisers off and you haven't learned the key the key skill of balance.
Yes.
And actually children are learning to ride bicycles now on balance bikes. So they're actually learning that skill as they go. And I just thought there's some
definitely, if we are as a human for AI now, we like to teach a robot, you put some data, but you leave the robot to learn by himself. So how about us? We are human, and we've got this the complexity of thinking on, and the entrepreneurial feeling and the way how the intelligence. We should leave it to work a little bit. Not everything will be served on a golden plate.
I get a real sense of your values.
Yeah.
And what drives you. Clearly family is incredibly important.
Definitely.
And faith.
Definitely, yeah.
So can you tell me how being a Muslim has influenced your approach to leadership and work? I know that your faith is a huge part of your life, so really interested to get your sort of take on how that shapes and informs you as a leader.
Sure. So basically, in general, I believe, like I'm Muslim and I respect all religions, because I believe this is part which is like interpreting what God wants from us, and this is to facilitate our life. So it's to support us. Now, for me, God is present in my life because I feel He is the supporter. I would make it like in a different angle. Like if I will tell you there's a very good person or good advisor who will stand with you at all the time and will hold your hand at all the time, then you will build up your confidence. And if you struggled, what you would say, this person been with me for all this time and I know he's good, he won't leave me. So how about God, who is owning all the world? I'm a believer and I believe that God is being with me and will facilitate my life, because I should be like, this is like related to conditions, because God told us to be good people and to be positive and to look at the bright part of the problems. Even in Quran, it says always, if you struggle, there's part of Quran says inna ma'al usri yusra, which means when you struggle, there will be a solution at the end. So always focus on the positivity. When you feel you are alone, then you feel you've got a huge power supporting you. And sometimes, like, we've been working and we reach a point, then we feel like, what next? I don't know what next. I was a hard worker until I reached to this point. Then suddenly I find doors being opened for me and things just become better and better. So this is because you are positive. You worked really with a pure heart and you focused on what you are doing and you did it on the right way. So God will support you to continue and will not leave you. Who managed to drive you to reach this point will not leave you now, because he's very big.
I think, I think that's an incredibly strong sentiment, that idea that you put your trust and faith to receive support and guidance, and it's clearly influenced your journey and your approach to leadership and the running of your business. You talked a little bit then about sort of, we've got to the point on the cheese journey where you've now started producing cheese. Are you selling it from the shop?
Yeah. We've got a small factory shop because the space now is a little bit limited, but we still have access if special local people, and the amazing part of it, because people love to come and to talk to you. Now, when we moved to this place, there were a wall. We asked the landlord to move it and to make it as a window, because I wanted actually really people to come over and see where this cheese coming from, especially for the new generations, because it's not coming from the shelves in the shops or supermarkets. It comes from the milk, which being processed. And I feel it's very interesting when you find the farm where we get the milk from is just less than 1 mile away from us. So it should really feel proud that you are getting that fresh, that local products. And I love to talk to people as well, because
so you the factory shop is open to the public.
People can come and
you can buy from the
yes.
And who do you, so presumably you're supplying other sellers of the cheese?
We mainly supply farm shops and delis. We sell to restaurants as well, food services. Just recently we signed a contract. We managed to win, I would say not only win a contract with one of the biggest supermarkets in the UK, Aldi.
Okay, brilliant. So I was going to ask you about that. So you obviously you won their next big thing.
Absolutely, it's the next big thing.
So and this has been captured. Has that gone out yet on Channel 4?
Already been on Channel 4. Yes.
So Aldi's next big thing, and you introduced your halloumi roll. Halloumi rolls. So tell us about those. What are they? They sound delicious. I'm a little bit upset that you haven't brought one in for me to try today. But tell me about that, how the idea came about, and what impact it's had on your brand.
So, to tell you about this product and how it's ended up on the shelf. Since we started the podcast until now, we've been talking only positive way, right? Yeah. But as I told you, life is not rosy.
Well, I've got some questions in here to say, what are the challenges been? What have you had to overcome?
Definitely. Yeah. So basically, if you think I've got a magic wand where I spotted a gap, made the cheese, and here you go, you are on the shelf. It's not like this. No. This business is not like this. No. But we usually talk about our victories.
Of course.
But you will have definitely very bad moments when you feel you are at the edge, where you feel you are at the edge to give up, because you've been patient for a long time, hard worker, and tired of everything. And we are human at the end. We feel tired, right?
Absolutely.
But
I can relate to that.
Here where you need really to not make a decision, to sit down and just change the way you are thinking and the way you're looking at things. Because to get a business running for a long time, you will be focused, you will have massive focus on one target. But life changing, and that's happened in a very massive effect when the COVID happened. We had a big loss of our food services businesses. After COVID, on the same year of COVID, we've been hit by Storm Kira. If you remember when the flood in Sowerby Bridge happened, we had massive loss as well with the machineries and stock. Then after that, the economical problem happened where milk prices went up, fuel went up, wages went up. How could the business absorb everything? Then you will reach to a point, especially from business owner point of view. I reach a point sometimes I've got all the money to pay my staff, but I don't have any money left to pay myself. And I should sacrifice it because for me it's rights. I can't really not to pay people their efforts, but I can not pay myself.
Yeah.
I've been at that position. Then I start to think about halloumi market, and halloumi market been going down a little bit as well in the UK. So as a consequence, our price became very high, competing the imported halloumi. So we couldn't sell as much as before. But here where we started to think about, definitely you will reflect a little bit the inflation on the product price, but you can't put everything. So we start to think about efficiency. And here where we start to think where the business consume a lot of efforts, because we've been 100% manually making the cheese, lots of energy, lots of time. So my husband put his effort and he created a semi-automated halloumi production line, where instead we used to start at maybe 8 o'clock in the morning. We used to finish around 6 or 7. So that reduced the time until we start to make the cheese from 9 until maybe by 3:30, 4:30, it's done. So this will enable us to make 2 batches per day, distribute the cost, increasing the efficiency, and having the cheese more in shape and size, because halloumi is a bit tricky cheese where it got a variable weight, which being lost by the moists. However, at that time, we start to find a solution, but this solution will produce another problem, which is when you increase your capacity and efficiency, you will have byproducts as well. Where to go with this? For sometimes we used to use some of these recyclable apps where people, instead of throwing the food and produce food waste, so people used to come and buy what worth £9 for only £2 from the whey protein, which we call it ricotta. At that time, we start to think we need a solution. When I've seen this program and I loved it, the Aldi next big thing. At the same time, I'm doing my degree in food manufacturing at Sheffield Hallam University, and I start to become, and I'm do it as apprenticeship.
Razan, I think you might be Superwoman. So let me just get this right. So, mom of 3. How old are your kids?
Now my children, they are 12, 14 and 15.
Okay. I mean, that's incredible enough. I've got 3 kids. I know what that's like. Similar age gaps, although mine are a bit younger. So that's incredible. You've had this life-changing experience and journey from Syria. you start manufacturing cheese and create a business, having done neither before. You are studying for a degree through an apprenticeship, presumably through your business.
Yeah.
Wow. I was just trying to get my head around that. Where you find the time, where you find the energy, where you find the mental capacity and resource to do that?
It's all about how you think about it. Because like when I came across the apprentice degree, I found it's such a great solution for my business lifestyle, because I found it as it's it's for businesses. If you are running a business or working, the government will cover 90% or 95% of the fees.
Yeah.
So I because at that time, until that time, before starting the apprentice, I didn't do any professional course in any cheese or manufacturing, and I had to do a course called HACCP 3 for manufacturing. And when I searched for it, it cost me £1,000 to do this 2 days course. But then when I came across the apprenticeship degree, I found the program is amazing. It's all about food manufacturing, all the technical things I need to understand about what I should do in my business. So I looked at it as, if I'm going to join it, I will have 3 years pre-arranged training and academic work, which will reflect definitely positively on my business. So this is how I looked at it. And the fees is better than any cost of training I'm going to do. So, you need to think about things from different angles.
I think I interrupted you, but I had to, because I was just gobsmacked by the fact that in amongst all that, you'd just casually thrown a degree in there as well. So Aldi's next big thing. You've got the challenge of byproducts. So you're selling the byproducts cheaper than
even the cost of make it.
Yeah.
Just not to waste food.
Okay.
But here what I said, having the degree managed to shape my way of thinking as well, as there's a difference between organically growing a business. At the beginning you will have more you'll be motivated emotionally. But when you go more into academic way, more training, you will start to think about it, like you will turn into a mature stage where you start to think about what retailers want. Because we supplied Morrison's before with our halloumi. And this is one of the things where we start to struggle when the the inflation start to happen. So we found out we make an artisan product, but how could we put this on the shelf in retailer? Because at the end, the business, to growing a business, always it's like the egg and the chicken, who comes first? You need to start to expand it a bit by bit. And here where we start to think, after we made the halloumi production line, now we can get a good size shape of cheese. But what shall we do with the next? How can we increase the efficiency and not wasting food? And here where the halloumi rolls product came through, where we mixing the halloumi with the whey protein, and we wrap it in phyllo pastry, similar to a Syrian recipe we call it burak, and Turkish as well. It's very famous in both countries. And then we deep fry it or bake it in the oven. And I thought, because there's some restrictions on halloumi rolls, halloumi name, so I found my connection with Yorkshire brought the name as a meaty mikob, and this is me rolls, so it's hello me rolls.
Brilliant. So these are now stocked in Aldi's across the country?
We win the deal. It was 400,000 rolls. Okay, but we're still small business, so we had to employ another 10 employees. Before the program we were only 5. Now we've got another 10 people joined us, making the rolls. We delivered 80,000 when the TV been live, when the program been live on TV. The day after, this 80,000 rolls been distributed around Aldi's. It's sold out now, but we're still making the rest of the order.
Oh, brilliant.
So once we finish this order,
Yeah.
I don't know where we'll be. I don't know if they will continue or not. But anyway, it's been really...
What's the feedback been like from Aldi though? Because presumably if they're sold out, then...
They said, to be honest, they are still interested about it, but they said they wanted more sustainable way.
Yeah.
So this experience is really great because it's been like a platform to introduce the manufacturing, the mass manufacturing, the how to work out the cost, the budget, and the size, and everything logistically with retailers. It's a big thing, to be honest.
I was really interested when you talked about the start of the journey being emotional.
Yeah.
And then I think you're right, actually. There is a risk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a benefit, I guess, in that you become more knowledgeable and strategic.
Yeah.
But there is a risk that you will lose that that sort of emotive.
At a certain point, not really, because sometimes, like, we've been in Dragon's Den before, and like here where you put yourself in between, where they asked us, said, we find you really good. They didn't invest in us, but they said you can do co-manufacturing for halloumi. And I try just to tell them that there's no big manufacturer for halloumi to produce it. So I would like to have the invest to be able to establish
Was
this.
this the TV?
Yeah.
So
already in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so were any of them tempted?
Mainly Deborah Meaden. Yeah, she gave us.
She's my favourite.
Yeah, she's been more positive, and to be honest, Sarah as well. She's been really, really good. But she said she loved everything. She's been absolutely positive as well. But because she's not in food at all, she said I can't go for it.
Mind you, they need to learn to take a risk, Razan. I mean, you know. You took a risk.
Yeah.
You weren't in food. They need to take a leaf out of your book there, I think. So, I mean, the future's looking really exciting for the business. Obviously, I guess there's challenges around. You've now got more staff.
Yeah.
If that order doesn't come in, that's gonna be challenging.
Definitely.
So
I start already to think what next, because I don't want to. They are really amazing. We love them, and I don't want to. Not easy to find the good stuff in short period of time, but to create a bigger business and to make it running, as well, another challenge.
Yeah, of course. So, what next for the business? What you're going to fulfil that, because that order to Aldi is dependent on the waste product.
Yeah.
So that is, you've got the constraint of time there because it can only come at a certain pace.
Yeah.
So what's your strategy for continue to develop and grow the company from here?
Now, definitely, we need to have some investment. It's really requires some investment to take it to the next level. We are trying to work on side by side with our Squeaky Cheese, the halloumi style cheese, to grow it more and more, try to market it more, to keep things going at the same time, and to introduce the halloumi rolls to other retailers or businesses. But at the same time, we are working on how could we reduce the price or the cost of manufacturing to be able to continue with Aldi, because they love the product. They don't mind to keep it going, but not at this cost.
Yeah, of course. So it's sort of how you can
Scale
scale up,
Yeah.
reduce costs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've touched on how busy you are What does a typical day look like for you?
Sometimes I don't look at the calendar until the morning because I know I will have, sometimes I've been in a position to say, how would all of that will happen? Because I look at a week which is very busy, especially in summertime. You can't think about everything. You really need to make it in small portions and just think instantly, because when you plan, you are very ambitious, but when you want to have it in reality, then you feel like, just don't scare, don't overloading yourself.
So if you look at your calendar too far, it can overwhelm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you'll find it full of colors and things. So it's better to just think about instantly about tomorrow. What am I going to have? Organize my day, and my day starts running and finish running as well. Yeah.
Actually, running
against the time.
Oh, against the time. Yeah, I'm thinking, wow, on top of
I
this.
can't.
So,
No.
Razan, not only doing a degree, running a cheese company, 3 children, she's running morning and night.
No. Not that.
Yeah.
I wish to reach this point, but not yet.
So, I mean, we've talked about your faith and the part that plays in you as a leader of the business, and the values that drive you. Who else has inspired you, and have there been any particularly influential people in your life that have helped you get where you are today and get the business where it is today?
Definitely, there were a lot of people, amazing people I met in my life, in my journey. Like my parents, my mom and dad are resilient people who established themselves and grown us in a very hard, tough time, which I like. Usually when you see your parents being through hard time and they manage to do it, you like automatically will get this inspiration from them. At the same time, my husband been really as well, really good supporter to me. And this is really important because even for some times when I started the business, he wasn't aware about what I wanted to do, but he told me, I've seen you happy, and if this is really will make you happy, I will support you no matter what. And this is the unconditional love and unconditional support. It's really important. And I'm always the person who is just got lots of things and think from bigger angle, and he's the one who brought me back to the life and to be strengthening me when I'm weak and tired. And I've met people here in the UK who've been really amazing. I really inspired by them. I met very big people. I mean big that they had their business established. What I amazed, I sat with big business owners who had a very big leading companies in the UK, whom sometimes in our like way of thinking, we feel like, why he wants really to sit with me? I'm nothing, really, I'm nothing next to him or next to her, but they love to sit and to talk. And when they talk to you, you feel you are really inspired by their manners, by their way of thinking. Sometimes just one word could really give you a motivation for years and keep just lighting in your head.
I've got a feeling that they will have been taking exactly the same thing from you, talking to you, because there's lots of really interesting ideas, little nuggets of advice that you've already given that I can see, why people would want to sit and talk to you, listen to your story, listen to your journey. Look, I'm sure that there are other challenges. You've talked about COVID. You've talked about some of the other barriers with the flood and the problems that brought. Thinking about that journey over the last 12 years.
9 years now. Yeah.
9 years, sorry, but you came to the UK 12 years
Yes.
ago. Yeah. So your 9-year journey with the business, if you could change anything about that journey or the beginning of that journey, what would it be? Knowing what you know now.
You know, it's when you go in a journey for the first time, you will be really ignorant, and will bring some you won't be really brave enough to go for some decisions. But now I would do it different way. I won't scare as before, but mainly now I know where to go. I know how to start it, you know. I would come again to the same place and I would deal with the same people, because I think everything I've done was really great and was correct.
I mean, to be honest, listening to your journey, I don't think, I can't hear of anything that I'd change. So, but it's great for you to say, as the one that's gone through it, there's nothing that I'd change. So let's imagine someone else is in your position. They're either, looking to start out on their career and have that entrepreneurial spirit, or someone who wants to change their career and has got an idea, little business idea ticking away. What would your advice be to someone wanting to become an entrepreneur?
First thing, definitely, I would say your dream will keep flying until the first step. And you can't just keep thinking theoretically, because the reality is different. And to be really to success in achieving your point, you really need to be flexible, to listen, to meet a lot of people, to be open-minded, think out of the box, and always a big why people want to buy or to get this service or to come to me. You should really don't miss or under-evaluate any opportunity or any person. Treat everyone just the same. Be optimistic. Always search, whatever you will make is not enough. You need really to keep going. It's not a matter of getting the business to a level, then you will have a rest. No, it's a long journey. This is why you really need to love it. You need to have the passion about it, because this is lifestyle. And don't copy others. Don't copy others. I didn't create nuclear things. I didn't get into something not exists. I made something already exists. You are not like to create a business. You don't really need to innovate something not exists in this world. You've got lots of things. You just make it your way and be yourself, because you will have that reflected on the business and the product, and people will come to you because of you.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, all entrepreneurial business, people will come because the product and the person as well. By the time you will need to separate it, you will become different from your product. This is when I said the emotional stage, the maturing stage.
Yeah. Okay. So what about someone who is looking to begin a career in food manufacturing in particular, and that industry? What would your advice be to them?
You need really to make a big research to understand what you want, and how your product will stand out, how people are thinking. When you think about food, you need really to think about small details. As I said, food waste is one of the big problems in food manufacturing. Think about quality, because quality is really, really important. Don't think how to make it cheap, because people willing to pay if it's worth it. Make something you would love and you feel always proud of. Quality is important, and I think locally produced is one of the greatest things as well, because people would love always to have, and this is where the investment should be on locally produced, because it's from here. You are not working by yourself. Like virtually, you will make a partnership with all other local businesses.
So I'm absolutely fascinated to see what happens next for the business and for you. I think there's a lot of interest in you as a leader and a person from, just listening to your story today and the journey that you've been on. I'm sure the next 9 years are going to be just as fantastic as the first. What's next for Yorkshire Dama Cheese?
Next is the dream, what we are dreaming of. I really can find myself in a rural area, in the nature, where I can showcase how the business started. I love to teach how the cheese is made. Put your hands in cheese is very therapeutic. It's very relaxing. At the same time, I would love to make just made halloumi or just made squeaky cheese, because the taste is absolutely different, very unique. Serving some of the product and making some of it as well. I would love to keep it very authentic, the quality, keep it going forward. I've got few steps where I know I need to work on a bit of my packaging, make it more premium, working on more marketing. So this is things to come. But I belong to this a lot.
So I think we've got to that stage of the interview. Thank you for joining me today. It's been absolutely delightful to talk to you and hear your story. But I'd like you to imagine that you could go back in time and send a teenage version of yourself a text with a piece of advice, knowing what you know now. What would it say?
Teenage is a very lovely part of your life, where you feel you are against the world. You've got all the option. So I just want to tell them, when I was in your age, I didn't know that I will be in this position now. And I wasn't focusing on becoming a business owner or this is my target. Because my target at that time to keep myself always busy, always learning, getting lots of skills, following things I love. Because at that age, you are like an empty bowl and you need to keep fill it with things. And this is where one day you will shake it and you will end it up on who you are. So the more you fill it up, the more you will giving at the end. So it's the time to invest in your time. It's this age is when you need to invest in yourself.
Okay. I think that captures it up in those 3 sentences there at the end. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Best of luck for the future, and I can't wait to see you again and to try the halloumi as soon as I can.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
No problem.